his Oregon State Bar complaint against Eamon McMahon, and that's E-A-M-O-N, Mc, M-C, Mahon, M-A-H-O-N, by me, Mary Ann. About 3 in the afternoon, Eamon McMahon made false allegations to Judge Leslie Roberts about me Monday, September 19, 2016, in Leslie Roberts' courtroom 216. He alleged falsely that I suggested his witness, John Chandler of G4S in Oregon versus Barry Joe Stull, should be sued. I never indicated that John Chandler of G4S should be sued. I apologized to Judge Leslie Roberts for my absent-minded accident of passing a note to Barry Joe Stull during a restroom break as voir dire was wrapping up. Eamon McMahon falsely characterized my muffled voice as a threat to sue. I trained as a paralegal at Los Angeles City College and was requested to be present by pro se defendant Barry Joe Stull. It was very important for him to know that John Chandler of G4S was involved in the crime of lying to 911 for the mayor Charlie Hales on 6/29/16 in a false, illegal, and retaliatory arrest, which the DA so far refuses to prosecute, instead shielding the perpetrator and protecting his informant status. I needed assistant counsel Kevin Kelly to know this. I wrote it on the top of an Epoch Times newspaper, approached Barry Stull and Kevin Kelly during the break, in which the jury had cleared into the hallway and jury bathrooms. I was under the impression that the courtroom was on a complete break, and this would be an appropriate time to get this information to Barry Joe Stull, pro se defendant, and Kevin Kelly, his assisting legal counsel. Eamon McMahon misheard me due to my muffled voice, and then proceeded to exaggerate what he did not hear well at all. The thing he was correct in repeating is that I said John Chandler of G4S Corporation has no credibility. I never said that he was being sued for lying to 911 to initiate police brutality, which is under investigation by John Rhodes at Internal Affairs Portland Police Bureau. I attempted to let the judge know that I was in no way trying to do anything wrong. I apologized and said that I was absent-minded. I told her that Eamon McMahon mischaracterized the content of my whisper to Barry Stull and counsel Kevin Kelly. I told Judge Leslie Roberts that I never said he should be sued. Leslie Roberts was content to give me a warning. Eamon McMahon, for prejudicial and discriminatory reasons, repeatedly demanded in a whining and hostile tone that Judge Roberts exclude me totally from the courtroom. It was extremely rude. I was not respected for my legal education. I told Judge Leslie Roberts I didn't know what I did wrong, and that is why I attend courtroom proceedings to learn about courtroom procedure. Judge Leslie Roberts began screaming at me so loudly it was very terrifying. I began to shake as I have PTSD and feel my ADA rights not to be screamed at were violated. I offered to leave multiple times as I do not like to be treated in a verbally harassing, aggressive, bullying, or prejudicial manner. When I exited the courtroom, the jury's face was aghast, pale, drawn, shocked, because Judge Leslie Roberts had screamed at me so loudly they could hear through the glass door. Her volume was normally so muffled that elderly audience complained she could not be heard. When she screamed at me, however, it was extremely loud. If Eamon McMahon had merely cautioned me that this was not the time to note the John Chandler lying to 911 problem, I would have apologized. I regret not meeting him or shaking his hand to try to bridge the gap of his overt hostility to anyone he perceived to be providing court support to Barry Joe Stull. I sat through a 3-hour earlier proceeding September 6th, so Eamon McMahon was clearly aware that I am trying to assist Barry Joe Stull in a caregiver and paralegal capacity. I believe kicking me out of the courtroom may also be a violation of Barry Joe Stull's disability rights to have a caregiver in attendance or assistive legal infrastructure support. The coincidence of John Chandler's known pattern of lying and not being prosecuted by the DA is a concern for judicial oversight. My role providing information on Barry Joe Stull's case to federal attorneys with the federal DOJ may not be known to Eamon McMahon, but I have been providing updates to Jonas Geisler and Adrian Brown about the ongoing violations of the ADA in City Hall Chamber where the assault of Barry Joe Stull took place. I feel that Eamon McMahon has denied journalistic coverage as well of his courtroom style and disrespect for federal laws. Eamon McMahon attempted to engage Judge Leslie Brown in conspiracy to violate civil right and disability rights of Barry Joe Stull and has allowed a great amount of defamation of character to go on during jury selection. As I was leaving the courtroom, under duress of being screamed at due to Eamon McMahon's unsympathetic and impolite and unprofessional bullying, enraging the judge, I acknowledged that while I never said that John Chandler should be sued, Eamon McMahon is right, he should be. As I walked out across the room, I also noted his witness Todd Engstrom, who seriously injured Barry Joe Stull, has also injured me. I said, Todd Engstrom covered me with bruises. He's a very bad man. Defender Christopher Marin in courtroom attendance witnessed this bizarre act of hostility and bullying in the courtroom, and I suspect could provide witness. By coincidence, I was victimized by the same pattern of brutality under the Charlie Hale's dictatorship, which violated numerous federal laws and Oregon constitutional protections. By thrilling coincidence, as I left the courtroom, I ran into Multnomah District Attorney Rod Underhill and spoke with him about Todd Engstrom not being arrested for covering me with bruises and being protected as a witness for his ADA violating arrest of Barry Stull 11/25/15. I spoke with Rod Underhill about the national security implications of hiring Keaton Otis killer cop Cody Byrne to work Keaton Otis's killer cop Cody Byrne to work in the DA's office. Rod Underhill seemed overwhelmed and walked away as I asked him why he protects men who bruise women in illegal and unconstitutional arrests. Since Eamon McMahon's cruel, irritable, and prejudicial courtroom bullying of me, I have felt a level of sexist discrimination by a man much younger than me to be a denial of my civil rights to obtain legal education and share equal access to state services. I seek to continue my work blogging on legal issues and perhaps obtain a law degree. I know from my legal education under Wilhelm Vargas, LACC, Paralegal Studies Director, that courtroom decorum is critical. I believe that Eamon McMahon needs a refresher course on civility. He is not judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to my mens rea about the John Chandler memo. I intended no harm, disrespect, or contempt and attempted to apologize as I was being screamed at. Perhaps he does not understand that Barry Joe Stull's status as pro se defendant should also protect pro bono paralegal services provided by me. Perhaps we should have formalized this. If Eamon McMahon really thinks I tainted the jury pool, it is clear that I was not the one screaming in the courtroom, but rather he had whipped the judge, Leslie Roberts, into a psychotic state of fury. I realized that they were taking out their concerns about the New York City bombing on me, but this is not appropriate, fair, or unsexist. The jury was then surely tainted and a mistrial should have been declared. Can the Oregon State Bar help me understand if Eamon McMahon's overt, festering hostility towards me reaching a boil at this level over such a tiny thing was fair or reasonable, or worth the consequences of Barry Stull losing my paralegal caregiving and journalistic services? Was it malicious in an attempt to undermine the strength of Barry Joe Stull's ADA case? As Stull's legal infrastructure is not immense, losing my support was cruel and unfortunate. I believe Eamon McMahon has some underlying misogyny problem and that his treatment of me was sexually harassing and discriminatory. He likely could not see that my post-traumatic stress disorder is so severe that he hurt my well-being severely with his cruel and callous and calculating, huge, intimidating presence and whining. I was shaking in my knees from his cruel attack. He also likely did not know I would immediately report this to his boss, but Rod Underhill, and the federal DOJ supervising USA versus Portland case surrounding police brutality to people perceived as mentally ill. Even if Eamon McMahon did not perceive me to be mentally ill, why should he be allowed to bully people in the courtroom when DOJ wants this behavior and police like Todd Engstrom, his key witness, to stop? And so then I forwarded this onto Jonas Geisler, Adrian Brown, the Portland DOJ rep, and Portland Cop Watch, and then I forwarded it to John Rhodes at Internal Affairs of Portland Police Bureau and Rod Underhill with the memo. When I ran into Mr. Underhill under the influence of your young prosecutor's cruel bullying, I was sadly under the influence, of his cruel bullying. I feel better now that I made a bar complaint. I am awaiting the 911 transcript and audio file from John Rhodes on your witness, who I believe was dismissed. Like victory for me. John Chandler's lies to 911, 6/29/16. I urge you to press a case on John Chandler for his lies, Charlie Hales for his conspiracy to violate civil rights, Engstrom for brutalizing an injured woman with a neck brace, me, as well as all involved parties in the O'Day Show shooting, cover-up, and aftermath, which included many false law enforcement actions to brutalize activists for stress relief.